I figure that this is basic logic. Logos. All right, log on to the operating system. On, off, flashing on and off. So it is true because I experience it. So what I experience informs me of how it works by virtue of the energetic environment that we find ourselves in or occupying. Vectors, right? Between vertical and horizontal lines of communication. And so when Patty Broussard said, well, the Big Island is a Draco stronghold, how would you know that? Could you verify that yourself? Yes, of course. And so how does the experience inform you of that? By experiencing the energetic environment when you come to the Big Island, because it's parasitic. And what does parasitic consciousness do? Increases its density, which means compaction, right? Dense, right? But it depends on the vectors that you're occupying with your consciousness, because it's not the same on the island, because you have a lot of, as I remember it, 17 different weather systems, depending on where you happen to be on the island, because it is a fairly good-sized island, right? But you would know by virtue of how many cell membranes, right, are using their cell membrane to blow holes in their energy field. And what does that do? Okay, it becomes a shark tank, a feeding frenzy. So what happens is that the more light you're pulling as a pillar of light, you're the cross, the first pillar, the first line of communication. The more current you're pulling from the echo worlds, right? When you're in the echo worlds and you're down here in one of these, right? Anchored to mama's magnetosphere, right? And now you're experiencing a higher level of speed. It's an acceleration of electromagnetic energy. Spinning the torque speed. Crank that motor up, which is cranking that server up, which means the servers are running at a high rate of speed. That means that the rate of change, which is a ratio in time-space vectors, is changing at a higher rate of speed, right? Going from lower density to higher density, which is higher electrical density consciousness. So what you experience, because I experience it here, the more light you're running, the more you're attracting things are wanting to feed on your energy. Right? Yeah. So, in other words, a simpler way to put that is that the island is full of energetic vampires. Yeah, precisely. Why? To maintain their density. Now we're back into densities, right? Living in fear of what love is. So you know that's a lie. Because love does no harm, right? Love is powerful energy. That's the source from which it all began. So as an operator, right, operating an operating system that is experiencing and pulling more current, right, you realize what happens. You experience the impact that it has on an island that is dense. Dense. So that's just like what the Kanaka Maholi lay would tell me. That the Hawaiian Islands, and I know this from personal experience as the most powerful spiritual schools for self-evident reasons, when you get into Phyto, pH 0, why that's so, why this island would become what's known as a strong point. A point, right? A single point. The ignition of a coil. The spin ratio harmonics. To maintain what it's aware of because of the density that it operates at. As a result of what? Lack of healing. And so I'm experiencing those over time space. The speed at which events are changing as you're experiencing more light to become a more powerful magnet, accelerating the speed at which we're giving away voltage The line of communications is the biovoltage, lines of biovoltage communication, right? And so you see the impact, right? Going after your energy, right? Drain it down. No, don't run that here. Don't run that here, right? Just like Lay would use the example of the mongoose that was introduced over here, and it doesn't work. You know why it doesn't work? And it ends up causing more problems. So now we're back into the not funny, I realize that, but future proofs past, Back to the Future, which is the result, right? So if you have a unit of consciousness that doesn't have a conscience, it means that it's not aware of the impact that it's going to experience in the future as a result of the use of their energy in a present moment. And then what they experience next is called the feedback. Whoops. Whoa, now I realize that the use of my energy caused me to experience a negative result, right? Just like what you learn as a little kid when, hey, I'm not going to touch that stove, right? Because I'll get burned. Spirit of fire. I don't think that I'll do that again because that wasn't a good result. And the use of my energy, which was to touch it, right? And same diff. How do you know the difference between the spirals? It's a torque speed differential experience, right? Between inverters. They're inverted, right? Which would be the same thing as if you had reached a certain level of spiritual knowing or spiritual practices of the wisdom keepers, which are the flame keepers, the first flame, the first spark, the first star. You're learning through the first star musician, the eternal star musician. Your first teacher, my first teacher, is an eternal star, which is eternal unconditional love because it's on fire to love you. And so that becomes wisdom. Wow, yeah, being on fire. Yeah, the first stands to reason, right? If you want to burn a hot mirror or experience more light in your mirror to expand what it is you're aware of, which is what consciousness creation does when it's on fire to create, experiencing eternal love, then everything that is in your mirror is experiencing what we are, which is what love is. And that's basic logic on magnets. So you love the magnet that you are because you're experiencing a higher rate of speed, which is the acceleration of electrons that we're giving away at a higher rate of speed. So that allows us to go faster in the core vibration of who we are because we don't want to hold any units of energy captive. Let it go, let it go, let it go. So that will increase the torque speed of the magnets or the vortexes on the Big Island. Clearing the servers, right? Getting rid of the goo codes. And the goo codes represent the units of consciousness that are holding our energy captive to their network, right? In order to run their network, their servers, how their system was set up, right? To suck energy out of everything, which is the deadlight energy system. So you can sort of see when you scan the terrain, for example, what's happening in the different cities of videos that I put up just to give people an idea. This is what's happening, right? And the changes that are taking place that we become aware of by others that are aware of what's going on, and then they present their visuals to us. Now we're experiencing the visuals they're presenting to us of what we're experiencing through them. The visuals they present, which is the system. You know, the internet, right? So that's a different set of visuals, map reading different visuals based on the difference in spirals, right? One that's going in another direction and the one that's going in our direction. And then you see how the separation of spirals takes place between something that is vampiric and something that is an accelerator of giving energy away for free at no charge. No charge. No charge yet. Yeah, so So this is where we're at, and so this is another beautiful morning, and so yeah, I'm experiencing being attacked incrementally. It's like counter space move, counter space move, counter space move, counter space move. Because now you get into the torque speed differential between those two spirals. As it's experiencing more of what we are, it's in resistance to experience what that is. So now it's going to do everything it can to distract you, to break circuits at a higher rate of speed so that it doesn't lose its connection to that spiral, our spiral. Right? So it's these become counter space moves or attacks to feed on the other. Right? So that the perception, which is the bandwidth, which are the frequencies, we don't lose. It doesn't want to lose perception of us, which based on the time and density of those waves, which are those frequencies, which is based on the core vibration of the operator of that radio set. Right? So it doesn't want you experiencing being in a state of love and joy where your shield is up. So that has the boomerang effect. So that's how the separation of spirals takes place, which means its inability to feed on the energy givers, the accelerators, will begin to draw energy from its own reserves, which is finite. So what it essentially does is accelerate the speed at which it separates from our spiral and has a corresponding effect on our spiral, which is going faster. So as ours is going faster and it is feeding on its own tail, it means the acceleration of what it's doing to its own self by virtue of not being able to feed on the shields that are up will accelerate its own separation by virtue of what it does to us. So this is where they ran into trouble, and Arsha Diane talked about it. Now they're coming to us because they realize that, again, we're back to results-oriented use of energy, and that's called learning. Ultimately, that's learning what best serves all of us, to be one. Be one with the one, which is healing. Right? And so it was always about buying time. You know what buying time is, right? Yeah, everything becomes a commodity, right? Put it up on the auction block. Hey, traders. Right? And so anyway, that's where we're at. You know, I've been hit with just a barrage of counter space moves. You know, electrical counter space moves. You know, drain your energy, distract you, break circuits. Don't get comfortable. Don't even get comfortable. You're not supposed to be in a state of love and joy. No. Death spirals. Yeah. Yeah, you know how it is going from a light ship to a dark ship, or from a living star to a dead star. One's a living spiral, the other one is a dead spiral, living energy light with a spirit and a soul, and something that is finite and dead light energy system without one. So you realize the torque speed differential between one and the other spirals. Right? One that's going at a higher rate of vibrational speed, right? To burn off like having a firewall, which is protecting your shield, which is protecting your DNA operating system. Right? So you're not experiencing what they are, which is against the law, by the use of what they do with their energy versus what we do with our energy. Right? So you know that when you're in an energy war, which is a frequency war, which is an antenna war, and you go back and look at how, when you think about a diseased state of mind or a disorder or broken circuits in a motherboard, why all the antennas were set up the way that they were. Take a look what radar did. Right? What is it? After World War I, you know, when the flu, what was it called? The Spanish flu? Like a flue in a chimney. You know, again, you're back to burn patterns and circuits and lines of key-coded lines of map grids of what we're experiencing. So when we're experiencing what love is, wherever we go, through all the lines of communication that are communicating with each other, between every operating system that is experiencing the one, then that means that the first line of communication is being experienced through every other antenna. Is experiencing the law of one. So that's the highest honor, which is known as the highest word of honor. Word. Right. Rama. Yeah. Ma Sha. So I want to thank all those that did introduce the Voyager materials into the collective consciousness of planet Earth, right? To experience more of what we are instead of what they are, which needs healing. Right? In order to what? Raise the honor of a superconductor, to experience a greater level of sensitivity that we all have towards everything that's alive and living in our mirror. Right? So that our mirror doesn't go, what? Black mirror. So this is all shadow body work, huh? Yeah, there's a part of me that is still experiencing something that's what it is, instead of what I am, right? So you're getting rid of the shadow. So you're experiencing the purest of light, which is the purest of love through your own heart and your soul. And that's healing everything that's held in memory. So now we're into memories and recordings of all the cellular memories and recordings of everything that's been experienced. It's held on a record, in a record, right? So now you have access to all the records. Now you have access to the EFFI field that is informing us of what's going on through all the records that are being experienced at the opening and closing of the magnets at a higher rate of speed. Now we're experiencing more what it is, which is what love is, which is what I am, that goes on forever, gifting electrons. So as more and more people